Everyone, it's Julia. Today I'm making some textile cards and I have this free printable available on my blog. If any of you want to give this project a try, I'll have that link down below for you and you can go over and print this off. I printed it off first on a muslin, and when I print on my fabric, I just use my mailer stickers on the back side because it's the size that I need for a copy paper. And I use these over and over, so I'm just saving it on this envelope. Another way that I wanted to try this, I did three different ways, is I can see through this muslin, so I'm just tracing this design using my heat erased fabric pens. I'm going to be taking both of these to my sewing machine, and I am going to be doing free motion stitching, or I'm going to be quilting this using free motion. Adding a warm and natural batting to the back of each of these. And that one is the one I ran through the printer, and I flipped that around so that ink wasn't so pronounced. And I can still see through this muslin just fine and see all those marks. I have a black thread in, and I put black bobbin thread in my bobbin, and then I just have regular Coats and Clark all-purpose thread on the top, and I am just outlining this. My feed dogs are dropped, and I'm just getting as close as I can on these marks. Of course, I do get off. I really wanted to see what would happen with the printer ink. It seems like my black ink is pretty permanent, and my colored ink is not. And I'm going to be watercoloring all these designs. And I wanted to see what would happen with this printer's ink. Just to see if it got, if you could see it, if it kind of got muddy. I really think it's just, important to do that once in a while and just see what works best for you. This is the finished project here. This is the one I did with the heat erase pens, and I'm just getting rid of all my ink marks there that I got off on. And you can really see, and this is the back side, how fun that design is. Now this is the printer one, and I can see that printer marks on the fabric. So then I wanted to do one more, and I'm using my Arteza fabric markers. I can again see right through this muslin, so I'm just tracing this design. So I thought if any of you did not want to do the free motion, this is another way. I'm not going to be stitching this at all, free motion. I do take this to my sewing machine and I will be doing some quilting on it, but I will do just my regular quilting, not free motion. And here's what it looks like. I flipped it over because you do need to flip it over and heat set this fabric marker. Another thing I wanted to check was, and I am using my feed dog, my even feed dog for this quilting project, but I wanted to check also with this, because I am doing this watercolor, wanting to make sure that these Arteza markers are waterproof completely. I just put a diagonal mark there with my heat erase pens because I am going to be quilting these now. So I have my quilt batting on the back, and I'm going right down the diagonal on this, and right on that mark that I made. And then I'm going to be quilting on either side of that mark, approximately a ½ inch. And I just completely quilt the whole thing, just going with this ½ inch diagonal stitching. If you have an even feed dog, use it for this type of a thing. It really feeds everything over through a lot easier. If not, you just pin more. You can get by without it. I just removed that diagonal mark there, and now that one's done. I am spritzing, or just getting my fabric a little bit wet. And I use a lot of water for this. This is just a watercolor. This is going on card, so it does not have to be washed. I did have a viewer comment that she uses watercolor and the fabric medium a lot on fabric, and it really makes the watercolor permanent on fabric. So another thing to experiment with. I didn't on this one. I just used water because I am just putting these on cards. But this was so much fun. And as you can see, I'm not concerned with it going outside the lines. I really like that, just that look of that watercolor. I'm just letting it do its thing. Now this is the one that has the Arteza marker on it. And that marker is very permanent. I'm getting this very wet and nothing is moving or doing something it's not supposed to do. So I would certainly give those a try if you want to do any marking on fabrics or any type of thing like that. Now this is the one that I use the heat erase pens on, so I don't have any marks showing at all, just my free motion stitching. And again, just adding different colors. This is more of the cool colors, where the other one I did was more of warm colors. Adding layers. This one is now completely dry, and so I am going back and adding another layer of watercolor on top. I wanted it to be a little bit darker, a little bit more vibrant. And that is that one. This is the one with the printer marks on it, and this is the one with the heat erase marks. The one I like the least is the printer one, because you can still see those black marks through it. But some people's printer ink is not permanent and it completely washes away, so that would really be a slick way of doing it. I'm using just cardstock base, and these are like the craft paper. They're 5 inches by 4.5 inches, my cards. And I'll link everything down below so you can take a look and see. And I am actually cutting each one of these. I get 8 cuts. They're measure about 2.5 inches by 4 inches. And here's where I just love how this looks. I'm going right through my stitching. It doesn't matter. And each one of these turned out to be a little mini art quilt. It's just so much fun to see this come together. I do have a graduation party to go to, and the 2020 graduates, let's just give them a shout out, right? This is going to be a drive-through party where we just basically drive through and throw a card in a basket, and then we get a little goodie bag. And so this is a card that I am going to be giving to a graduate. Just sticking that right on the card. And then I'm going to be using Tim Holtz's small talk phrases. And this one says, if you're lucky enough to be different, never change, which I thought would be really fun for a graduate. And just clipping that and sticking that down. And of course, these are all blank inside, but you can add your own words to them. And I do have some pictures at the end here too, but here's just a sample of all of my little cuts. These are the ones with the heat erase pens on them. And this is the one with the printer one, the one I ran through the printer. They're all just turned out really fun. And I have some pictures at the end here too. Thank you everybody who's joined me today. If you happen to do this project, I'd love if you'd share it with me either on Facebook or Instagram, and that's all in the description down below. Thanks so much everyone. Bye for now.